Welcome to the Mindset Mechanics Podcast with Juan and Ladybug Jenkins. It's not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you. The shop is open, so pull on in.
Welcome to Mechanical Monday. You are in the shop. I'm Ladybug Jenkins, your mindset mechanic, reminding you that it's not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you. And once you do that, acceleration into the life of your dreams is inevitable. So, in today's episode titled Off the Map, we are going to discuss the topic of planning and how important it is to our future and to our progress. So, when you plan something, it's defined as a detailed proposal for doing or achieving something. But interestingly enough, an additional definition is an intention or decision about what one is going to do. So let's talk about what planning looks like in real life. So, here on the Mindset Mechanics podcast in the shop, we use cars, vehicles, travel, as kind of a backdrop because it's something that people are familiar with. Even if you've never driven yourself, you still understand the concept of taking a trip, even if it's just as a passenger. So when we talk about planning, I think about a road trip. Now, I won't lie, the Ladybug loves a good road trip. It used to be my favorite thing before, I had Noodle and Doodle in the back seat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Stop touching me. Stop breathing on me. She's looking at me. He's making fun of me with his eyes. So I think back to my youth. And in my youth, when I say my youth, I mean my early 20s, when we did not have cell phones, we did not have GPS, we did not have all of the things that we have now. So the Ladybug had a pager and she had what we called triptychs. And that is where you sat down, you got the two addresses to figure out where you were going, and you would go over to the nice folks at AAA. Yes, this was before you could just jump on the internet as well. I know that's hard for people to imagine now, but if you can remember a time, you would take your addresses and you would go to AAA, and the nice people at the counter would ask you a couple of things. Do you want to avoid highways? All those little buttons you click now. Or if you're like me, avoiding tolls, that's something I picked up from my father. He was like, I wish I would pay taxes and then pay to drive on the road. So if you did not want to pay tolls, all of that good stuff, they would plug the information in and they would print you out this thing that looked like a flip book. And depending on how far you were going, that thing could be huge, but you had to actually read that map. You had to know what you were looking at to get to your destination. And so now when we plan a trip, we decide what day we're going to leave. We decide what time we're going to leave. Obviously, you have to have a destination and then you kind of work backwards. At least that's how I do it. So if I know I got to drive 12 hours and I have to be there at a certain time, and then I work backwards, what time do I have to leave? How often am I stopping? Am I taking a nap? All of these things. And I'm not saying that to bore you. It is just to get you to kind of think about how much planning goes into a trip, especially if you are not the person that does the planning. I know we got our passenger princesses out there, and I'm sure there's some passenger princes as well who do not drive. They are just shotgun and they keep the driver entertained and hydrated and whatever else it is. So you plan this trip, you start with your destination, right? And then you work from there. And then some people like audiobooks. Some people like to listen to podcasts. Yes. Some people have a playlist. Now, back in the day, Ladybug used to have one of those plastic shoe boxes, and I would go into my collection. I had over 500 CDs. Yes, I confess. I would go into my collection and I would pick, the fortunate 20 to 25 CDs that were going to go on the trip with me. And I would load them in this shoebox and I would change them out as I drove. So some people like music, podcasts, ebooks, sermons, Some people like to have their snacks. They have a specific drink that they like. So all of these things go into the vehicle. Then you have to pack, and what you pack is based on your destination. Is it going to be hot, cold, windy? Am I going to the beach or an amusement park? You get it. So all of this planning goes into your trip. But if you plan properly, by the time you got on the road, all you had to say was, okay, I'm going to pack my car the night before. That was always me. You know, suitcase goes in the car, CDs go in the car, everything goes in the car. You know that you have to leave at 6 a.m., so you work backwards. I'm getting up at 5 a.m., shower, dressing, all the things in my car at 6 a.m., and then you just follow the plan. You have your triptychs. If you didn't do triptychs, you had the traditional map. You unfolded it. It filled up the entire vehicle, and then unless you were some kind of engineer, you were never able to fold it back the way it was when you got it, and you had your destination, your departure time, your estimated time of arrival, your ETA, you hit the road. And if you follow the plan, barring some unforeseen circumstance, you got to your destination on time. Now, how many of us live our lives like that? Truly. How many of us instead, we get up every day and we treat life like it's some accident waiting to happen? Like we are an accident waiting to happen. If someone asks us about our life, where are you going? I don't know. Well, when do you want to get there? I don't know. So if you don't even have a destination, it is impossible for you to get anywhere. If you got into your car and you turned it over, cranks up, back out of your driveway, you get to the top of your street, how far are you going to get? You can't get anywhere if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a destination. But we treat our life like that. If someone asks us, what are your career goals? What are your goals spiritually? What are your goals in your marriage? What are your goals with your children? What are your destinations in your life? Where do you want to get? And I am amazed at how many people just say, I don't know. I don't know. I never thought about it. And if you ask them twice, they look like they're going to cry or their head is going to explode because they are so overwhelmed by the question. So how many of us are on the road and we are driving around with nowhere to go, with no planning, with no destination? Some of us wait until the passenger gets in and says, take me here, take me there, which is, that kind of represents relationships. We get into a relationship and then the goals and the dreams and the desires of the other person takes over, and it takes over because you never had a destination before they got there. And then you fast forward 10 years and you're frustrated and you're angry and you say, oh, we've grown apart, and you want out of your marriage. But deep down, you're frustrated and you're angry because you are married to someone with goals and dreams. You don't have any. And now you feel like you're in your vehicle, which is your life, and you are driving your vehicle, but someone else is determining the destination. Someone else is making all of the plans, but you are stuck driving. But it is not your spouse's fault. It's yours because you don't have a destination of your own. Now, can two people travel in a vehicle somewhere even though they want to go different places? Absolutely. If I need to go to the grocery store and my husband wants to go to the bank, we can go to both places in one vehicle. We just have to determine who's going to go first, which is more important. Do we need to do one to get to the other? You get it. So you have to be careful that you're not driving around with no destination, because then whomever gets in your car is going to determine where you're directing your efforts, your attention, your time. If you've ever driven, especially a long distance, after a time, maybe your back hurts, your feet hurt, your eyes get tired, and you're expending all of this energy to go somewhere that was not your plan. It was not your destination. And then you have children. And they are very bossy from an early age. And so now you're driving around. I want to go to gymnastics. I want to go to soccer. I want to go to the pizza spot. I want to go skating. I want to go here. I want to go there. And then before you know it, I want to go to the homecoming dance. I want to go to the prom. I want to go on a college tour so I can pick a school. And you're driving, and you're never getting anywhere that you desire to be, that you want to be, because you never had a destination before all of these passengers showed up. And I hope that doesn't sound crazy. I hope that makes sense. So, on the Mindset Mechanics podcast, In the Shop, we talk a lot about hindsight, about the rearview mirror, right? So, in my rear view on this is that planning is a lot more important than we think. So when you plan a trip, the longest trip I've ever taken in a vehicle was from Fort Lauderdale to San Antonio, Texas. It was 1,000 miles. It took me 2 days, but I was only 22 then, so my body could handle, driving 13, 14 hours a day. But I sat at my table. I got all of the addresses I needed. I looked at a traditional map and found the approximate halfway point between Fort Lauderdale and San Antonio, because I knew I would need somewhere to spend the night. I wasn't going to do 24 hours in one stretch. That ended up being New Orleans. It's not exactly halfway, but it was the most interesting point that I could find that was about halfway, and it was somewhere that I'd always wanted to go. So I did that. I chose my music. I took the addresses down to AAA, got the triptychs, did all of that. And when I did that, I was excited. It was my first assignment as a travel nurse, and I was going to work at the largest military hospital in the country at that time. Shout out to BAMC in San Antonio. If you know, you know. And so I was very excited. My head was clear. I had clear goals, all of the things. 12 hours into my trip, I was exhausted. My eyes were tired. And even the carefully curated playlist I had was barely keeping me awake. I was driving with the windows down for some cold air with the music blasting. That was not the time to plan. That was not the time to figure out, because I was tired. I was anxious about this new job all of a sudden, because realizing I'm driving 1,000 miles away from home. And mind you, there were no cell phones. It's pitch black out on the road. There's no cell phones. There's no GPS. There's none of that. It's just me and my vehicle and the Lord. That was not the time to figure it out. That was not the time to plan. That was the time to execute. And some of us are just driving, no destination, no plan, waiting for life to happen, waiting for a flat tire, waiting for a cop to pull us over. We're waiting for external things to direct us somewhere, when we should have a goal. We should have a destination. So plan when your head is clear. Plan when you're well rested. Plan when you have a clear goal in mind, and then execute the plan no matter how you feel, no matter how tired, no matter what you run over in the road, no matter what obstacles or roadblocks you see. Execute the plan and get to your destination. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." That lets me know that even God plans. So if God sees the value in planning, who are we to think that we are going to just jump out on the road, fill the car up with gas, and just start driving around and we are going to be successful if the creator of everything that you see plans? There are 8 billion people on the planet approximately, and he has a plan for you. So if you don't have anything in your heart that you can tap into, pray, ask the Lord for a plan. Write the vision, make it plain. Execute the plan, but don't waste your life wandering around. Just personally, I've lost so many people over the last couple of years. And I don't mean people in their 80s and 90s. I mean, they were fine. I saw them and then they were gone. Life is too precious. This journey is too precious to waste by not having a plan so that you can get to where you are supposed to be. So ask God what his plan is for you. He has plans. So ask him about those plans, and he will help you get there. So thanks for stopping by the shop. I trust you allow it to help. I'm Ladybug Jenkins, reminding you that it is not too late to find, face, and fix what is stalling you so you can accelerate into the life of your dreams. Amen.
Thanks for stopping by the shop. Tune in next Mechanical Monday so you can get the tools to find, face, and fix your mindset and accelerate your life.